Hello and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Matthew in real life and Blind Run on the internet. And today we're going to be talking about GhostDAG and specifically a new protocol for that called DAGKNight. We'll get into it. What is DAGKNight? Obviously, that's what we're here to answer. And then we have some other stuff going on as well. We have the Komodo progress report for November of 2022. And we're going to go over and see what they've added and what they're working on currently for Komodo and Atomic DEX in particular. We have some new launches for a staking pool from Aneta BTC that has been announced. And we have a bunch of crypto miners basically struggling, and we're going to be talking more about them. Essentially, there's 3 articles today covering different Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin mining hosts and all of that. So a lot to get into as far as that's concerned. And then as usual, we'll get into mining profitability, etc. at the end of the show, as well as new releases for mining software and so on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the ad, and I'll see you right after. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. All right, good morning and welcome back. So first things first, Bitcoin mining host Compute North paid executives $3 million on the day it declared bankruptcy. Co-founder Dave Perel got more than $600,000 even as Compute North was forced to put a freeze on payments to creditors. Executives at Compute North and owner data centers where Bitcoin miners host their machines received about $3 million in payroll and bonuses on the same day that the company filed for bankruptcy, a court filing shows. Compute North filed for Chapter 11 on September 22nd, succumbing to the rout in cryptocurrency prices and rising electricity costs. But even as the bankruptcy filing put a freeze on payments to creditors, executives received large payouts. The company paid co-founder and former CEO Dave Perel $613,000 for payroll and benefits, according to the filing. Former CFO Tad Piper got $541,000 3 months after he left the company, and President Edward Drake Harvey III and Chief Commercial Officer Kyle Wenzel got about $500,000 each. Former Chief Technology Officer Nelu Miyai received $340,000, and Chief Legal Officer Jason Stokes was paid $325,000, and newly appointed Chief Financial Officer Harold Colby received about $250,000, the filing shows. The document also reveals a series of companies owned at least partially by Perel, with which Compute North did business. These companies received around $350,000 in payments in the past year for leasing office space and services. Compute North representatives did not respond to CoinDesk's request for comment. The company's collapse into bankruptcy has reverberated across the industry that is already struggling amid sluggish Bitcoin price and high energy prices. Two other major mining firms, Core Scientific and Argo Blockchain, said in the past week that they might soon become cash flow negative. Now, anytime you see this, to be honest, this isn't really that surprising to me that you would be seeing these payouts to executives and so on before filing for bankruptcy. The question will be legality and everything later on down the lines, and I'm sure the legal system will handle that to the best of their ability. I don't really like to get in an uproar or upheaval over a bunch of this type of thing. That being said, of course, with investors and so on, they're obviously that's not fun. And creditors, then the creditors need to be paid out first, right? So I think as far as this goes, it's interesting that they're paying out $3 million in payroll and bonuses the same day that they file for bankruptcy. It's obviously kind of funny, but if you're in that position, it's not surprising, I suppose, if that's what I can say there. The big point, I think, from the perspective of cryptocurrency is that we are seeing more and more bankruptcies. We're seeing more mining companies go under right now. And it's kind of funny because if you looked at the cyclical nature of the halving of Bitcoin, you would assume that most of these companies that are mining at this kind of level, a very high level, these large mining firms would have been a little bit more prepared for something that is a repeatable thing, right? It's odd that we're seeing this kind of happen, especially when we consider the fact that Bitcoin has always, in a bear market, come back down to previous all-time highs. We talked yesterday, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, some hopium that Bitcoin starts to go back up, that cryptocurrency in general starts to go back up, primarily due to the fact that we've been trading sideways for so long, and of course because of the rising energy costs that are making it cost more to mint a Bitcoin. All of these things could compound into, of course, the price of Bitcoin skyrocketing up before the next halving. But if we were to basically sit back and say, history repeats itself, or at least it rhymes to a certain extent, we would have to wait until the next halving of Bitcoin for any of that to happen. Either way, it does appear that most large mining firms have basically miscalculated the market and were not prepared for this big downturn. Bitcoin miner Iris Energy defended at Compass Point after equipment financing woes. The company earlier this week said some of its mining equipment isn't producing enough cash to meet financing obligations. Iris Energy may be able to continue operating without the burden of expensive debt. Compass Point analyst Chase White told clients in a research note Thursday. White's comments come after Iris earlier this week said some of its mining equipment owned by special purpose vehicles isn't producing enough cash to meet financing obligations. Additionally, Iris said that the equipment has a market value well below the principal amount of the relevant loans, and that it is in talks with the lender. White thinks negotiations may aid the company's financial position given the depressed pricing for mining rigs in the market. Recent pricing has been in the $15. Seems like we always lose connection for just a brief moment when we start streaming, which is very frustrating. I think we're coming back. There we go. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry about that. We had a little blip in the internet connection. It happens. So White thinks negotiations may aid the company's financial position given the depressing price for mining rigs in the market. Recently, the price has been in the $15 per terahash range for similar machines. We believe the smartest choice for the lenders is to voluntarily restructure the debt to reduce monthly debt service payments, for instance, by extending the maturity of the loans, White wrote. Otherwise, because there is no recourse to IREN, the company can just send the rigs back to the lenders and use its enhanced liquidity position to purchase new machines at the lower implied price, making the transaction net accretive. So he added, Compass Point has a buy rating and $8.50 price target on the stock, and shares are down 6% on Thursday, trading at $2.70. Now, it's an interesting idea that you would ship back the miners and basically give back the collateral and then take a hit and then repurchase the machines at a lower price. Depending on how the load's written out, excuse me, I don't know where that yawn came from. I don't know exactly how this plays out in the long run. So it sounds like what Iris is trying to do is say, hey guys, if you don't extend out the maturity of the loan, we're just going to ship the units back to you and cancel out the debt. And then we'll just buy miners back at a lower price. And I guess maybe with in their particular case, they might be able to do that. And the question that does beg the question, though, why even ask the debtors to go ahead and extend out the maturity of the loan if this is an option? Meaning, like, if this is an option to send it out, why not just do that and not even worry about requesting an extension of the maturity of the loan? So something doesn't add up there, in my humble opinion, but, you know, it's hard to know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. But it sounds like their threat is they would just send the miners back and buy them back with the new liquidity at a lower price. But like I said, that doesn't make sense, because why would they go ahead and try to strong arm them into just extending the maturity of the loan? Pretty much not all miners are going backwards. Some are moving forward, and that one is Marathon Digital. Crypto miner Marathon Digital mines record 615 Bitcoin in October. Marathon increased its hash rate by 84% in October in setting its new monthly high. Marathon Digital Holdings, Mara, mined 615 Bitcoin in October, the highest monthly total in its history, showing that its struggle to bring hash rate online is behind it. The firm said in a press release on Wednesday. Asset Light Marathon, which works with hosting firms and doesn't own the infrastructure behind its mining machines, has a tough few months. Most of its hash rate was knocked offline by a June storm in Montana. Its hosting partner, Compute North, one of the largest in the U.S., filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in late September, unsettling the market about Marathon's deployment prospects. Despite these headwinds, Marathon energized 32,000 machines during October, increasing its hash rate by 84%. The miner's computing power is now 7 exahash a second, the press release said, making it one of the world's largest miners. The Bitcoin mined in October almost matched the 616 it mined for the entire third quarter. The rest of Marathon's hash rate is supposed to come online by mid-2023 through a 200 megawatt hosting deal with Applied Blockchain, an additional 42 megawatts with Troubled Compute North, and 12 megawatts with undisclosed firms. The miner didn't provide updates as to the progress of these projects. Now, obviously, we've been talking about Mara kind of being at the head of this game, and it sounds like they're continuing to move forward. So if you wanted to pay attention to a company that's doing things right, you probably want to pay attention to what's happening at Marathon Digital, right? And they're able to extend and expand during this bear market, which is kind of your preferred setting if you are working within cryptocurrency. So I hope that essentially, we see, it disperse back out to smaller miners. But unfortunately, I think what we're seeing is more and more consolidation, more mergers, more acquisitions, and I don't think that that's going to slow down anytime soon, unfortunately. I think at this point, what we're going to see is basically hash power get moved more and more under less and less entities as we move forward. Of course, unless we can get to the point to where you start to see some more competition in the market from an ASIC perspective, right? An ASIC miner that can compete at, on a 120 volt circuit at somebody's house, right? Which is kind of what you would want to see. Now, we are kind of blowing through it here today, so we are going to get into some announcements. Right now, the Aneta staking portal is live 1.5.1, and the upgrade includes CNETA dashboard along with NETA and CNETA TVL. Next up, they'll have their wrapping private testnet. So if you guys are interested in wrapping, of course, Bitcoin on Ergo and Cardano, check out Aneta BTC. I've also been utilizing them in the past to mine on the getblock.io pool, and that's been pretty awesome. So definitely check that out. We also have a progress report from Komodo for November of 2022 and the Atomic DEX. So it does say, here's their Q3 2022 recap and a preview for Q4. It is their 6th birthday this quarter, so congratulations to them for that. As far as making it through a couple, it's good to see these blockchain companies that have been around for more than a single cycle, right? Or these Bitcoin projects in general. Komodo has been a really interesting platform. It's the one that I've been utilizing for SoakCoin, and I think that it offers quite a few unique aspects to it. It says we made tons of progress on the underlying DEX API, which is powering all user interfaces and end user dApps. Pirate, our atomic swaps are ready. Next, they will be made available in the wallet apps. We successfully integrated basic wallet functionality such as sending and receiving funds on the Lightning protocol for Bitcoin, and currently we are working on atomic swap support, and our team has shown great progress on that front. Layer 2 swaps will allow users to trade and execute transactions, including microtransactions, ultra fast and economically efficient. Simultaneously, we are already working on or towards rolling these features out in 2023. Solid progress was made for Trezor hardware wallet integration. Basic wallet functionalities such as sending, receiving were implemented, and we had the pleasure to showcase this at the Cosmoverse event. It will be available on Atomic DEX web soon. The team worked hard to connect the Cosmos ecosystem to Atomic DEX and showcased a Tendermint protocol atomic swaps at Cosmoverse event in Colombia. Right now, they are polishing the proof of concept into an early alpha version to include it in the wallet apps. You can also now use the Atomic DEX protocol to build a custom mobile app, and we have made our Atomic DEX mobile library public and open source. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. And then they say we've created a communication layer between QuickNode blockchain infrastructure and the Atomic DEX API to provide more reliable and faster services to our users. So they published their new mobile release. If you want to check that out, they also have a new desktop release as well for the Atomic DEX 2. And then they are also working on an alpha version launch, which they anticipate to take place in November. And they did a lot of UI, UX research and brainstorming work. Their Discord community helped us test and enhance the early alpha and closed alpha testing phase, and since then they have made tons of progress, they say, and here's some notable additions. You'll be able to see app functionality before using the app. This change required them to rework the wallet management logic, but is well worth it as everyone will be able to click around without a commitment. They made a complete overhaul of the DEX and Bridge tab user interfaces, and they added the Trezor hardware wallet support for UTXO assets. They integrated Cosmos native coin Atom for sending and receiving, and they implemented proof of concept of the Cosmos IBC ecosystem support and showcased the wallet and DEX layer at the Cosmoverse event. Moving forward, here's what they're working on. Liquidity is coming to Atomic DEX after a third-party security audit is complete, and this will be for Q4. Atomic DEX Web is getting widely tested and enhanced as they are approaching public alpha. They implemented full inter-blockchain communication protocol support and can now natively bridge Atom in the entire Cosmos IBC ecosystem to the blockchain multiverse. And they have begun to research hybrid AMM order book architecture solutions for Atomic DEX. For example, make swaps on the same chain for ERC20 and ERC20 tokens, route through another on-chain AMM DEX protocol. One benefit would be lower gas fees on each swap. Also, Atomic DEX Mobile will be soon out and of the open testing phase and publicly available in the App Store. In the upcoming public release, we will synchronize all listed assets, coins, and tokens across our products. And that pretty much wraps it up for the full 2022 update. Obviously, some pretty exciting stuff. The Ledger integration for support for UTXO assets is awesome, as well as adding in the proof of concept support directly within the Atomic DEX on Cosmos and IBC ecosystems is moving things forward quite quickly. I'm pretty impressed with Komodo continuing to work through the bear market. They always have. Like, the development's been extremely strong. So definitely check it out. I think it's worth checking out for sure. So on top of that, we are going to talk about GhostDAG. So if you guys aren't familiar, we're going to talk about DAGKNight in particular. But if you guys aren't familiar with GhostDAG, we probably want to talk about that too. Kaspa has a really nice what is page here that we're going to go over for you guys. But Kaspa is a new crypto that we've been following here on the channel for quite some time now. I personally spec mined it before it was listed on any exchanges. It is a modified version of Heavy Hash. The importance of understanding Heavy Hash is understanding that it is not intended to be a GPU mineable coin. It's going through the same processes that previous, SHA-256 went through, for example, where you're seeing essentially an evolution from CPU mining to GPU mining to FPGA. Eventually, we'll see ASICs on the network, and then the final form should be optical because the algorithm technically supports optical proof of work. The thing is, we don't have the hardware for optical proof of work, and the very basic understanding of that would be like mining with lasers. It sounds really cool. It's way far off, but you can currently mine it sort of successfully still with GPUs. FPGAs are starting to come onto the chain or onto it, and I think the thing is with the FPGAs is luckily there's not as many in circulation because production levels for FPGAs have been quite low. So you can still be competitive with GPU mining on Kaspa, but I think at a certain point it will get to the case where it's not competitive. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about what makes Kaspa special, which is GhostDAG. I'm going to give you a precursor on GhostDAG. The developer of Kaspa in particular had submitted GhostDAG previously, and a portion of it, of GhostDAG, was utilized in Ethereum. So as far as the heritage goes, and we do have, of course, we're going to be moving forward with an interview with the Kaspa developers, by the way. I got sick and I had to skip it. It was supposed to be this week. I apologize. It was one of the days that I was vomiting profusely, if you guys were following earlier this week, so I was having a lot of issues. But I will be getting that scheduled up again here soon. So definitely look forward to that. The important part is understanding that this is a valid technology with previous uses, and now Kaspa in particular is essentially going to be expanding on top of that. So let's talk about what it is, right? GhostDAG, and you can check out the links down in the description below. This is on the Kaspa.org. And it just says, what is GhostDAG and DAGKNight? The short version is GhostDAG allows us to make a chain out of the parallel blocks in block DAG, which results in the same security guarantees provided by Nakamoto consensus, which is Bitcoin, but with increased throughput and lower confirmation times. Long version, the fact that Kaspa allows parallel block creation via a block DAG is just the start. Are we having issues? I'll look at chat here, but oh, you guys are just going on about optical. Okay. Like, that's the reason I don't usually look at chat, guys, because it just interrupts the show and it doesn't really add to it. We talk about, we'll talk about it more here in a little bit when we get into questions and answers. All right. So, yeah, let's get back into this so that we keep the show going. The fact that Kaspa allows parallel block creation via a block DAG is just the start. Now we need new ordering mechanism that sorts the transactions into a linear stream of events. Otherwise, we won't know if the sender actually has the required funds to send a transaction, or if they were already spent in another parallel block. And this is exactly what GhostDAG does. And it also takes care of, one, in the case of conflict between two transactions that spend the same funds, the protocol will eventually choose one of them. Number two, an attacker with less than 50% of the hash rate that wants to reverse a transaction has chances that are diminishing exponentially as long as more time passes since the transaction was sent. And three, under normal circumstances, any transaction will be confirmed after 10 seconds. Double spending a transaction after that time requires a very high hash rate. In addition to GhostDAG, Michael Sutton and Jonathan, sorry I mispronounced all y'all's names, Sampolinsky, are working on a new ordering mechanism called DAGKNight, where instead of the 10-second confirmation time guaranteed by number 3, the confirmation time adapts automatically by the internet speed, which means any improvement in the network conditions of the miners and any optimization in the block validation algorithm will also speed up the confirmation time. The DAGKNight consensus mechanism was shared with the world on October 31st, 2022 at the Crypto Economic Security Conference at UC Berkeley. And there is a great video, which I highly recommend checking out. We already linked down below the information for this in particular. I wanted to do a brief overview that you guys are aware that what we are seeing is something innovative at a grassroots level. And that's really what I wanted to highlight here today, because we are in a bear market and people are looking for things to shift to and things to pay attention to and prep for. And when we are looking for things like that, paying attention to basically proof of concept with previous integrations, right? Like GhostDAG and Ethereum, for example, current development during a bear market, and a valid use case, which in this case obviously is going to be increasing transactions per second and so on, which is primarily the goal here. And making sure that you're aware of what the difference between something like Kaspa is, for example, and something like Evermore is, for example, right? So Evermore is one that I've been looking into, which is basically a fork of Ravencoin. And in that case, you know, there's not as much as I would say like innovation going on there as there would be like on Caspa, which is like the ground up sort of thing. So I want to make sure that we highlight it. Now, like I said, and in chat, yes, I'm aware that we will be talking to Shade, and we will go ahead and you can ask him questions in chat. This is outside of the format to have anybody like on. Like I said, the highlight of this is that it hit the news. It hit the news cycle, and I wanted to make sure that we covered it on the news cycle, and we do have a plan in the future for more content. We do have to get to minor releases for the day, though, and we save those for the end of the show. So let's get into it right after a word from today's sponsor again, which is yours truly. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video, and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that, you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. All right, guys, so let's get into BZ Miner version 12.1, and we'll get more information on GhostDAG and Night DAG here in the near future. But BZ Miner version 12.1, what's in this release? This is actually a pretty big release. It came out 10 hours ago. Locked core and memory clocks on 10, 16, and 20 series cards, which is pretty crazy actually, because I don't think that was available. I don't think that's actually available in, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I wonder if you can do that with Hive through the actual Hive Pro, or without doing it through the miner. Fixed delay overclock on ZIL window start. Fixed main algo not pausing immediately on ZIL window start. Experimental Intel support. Woo, buddy! Are you ready? Are you ready? Intel support. Yes. And get this, Intel support on 2 new algorithms, including Caspa. We have more testing to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited. So now we have 2 more algorithms to test on the Intel A750. Radiant and Caspa. We'll be doing that after the show over on Twitch today, so tune in for that. They added Intel only option, and they added the overclock enable option. Logging ZIL window time and Radiant optimized for AMD, so there's some tests we can do over there. They fixed memory temp on driver 520, and they fixed fan speeds on driver 520. They fixed a crash on the 520 NVIDIA drivers, and they added disable index HTML option. Warn if fan is broken, and they fixed overclock script from config.txt, and they fixed Radiant plus ZIL. Disable light hash rate unlock on drivers 520 and up. And obviously the big note here is that we have 2 more algorithms to test on Intel GPUs, and we will also be testing it to see if it's any better on Ethereum or Ethereum ET hash and ETC hash as well, because we do have the A750 back here. We do have another miner release. I don't think it's going to be as exciting, but it released yesterday, and it's SRB miner version 1.1.1. They added the algorithm EverProg PAL, which is for the Evermore coin for CPU and GPU mining. The fee does seem quite low, which is nice at 0.85%. And Evermore is one that I'm currently doing research on, so don't worry. I'll let you guys know when we get some more info on it. Performance increase on the DAGKNight GPU algorithm for RDNA and RDNA2 GPUs, and performance increase on SHA-512 and 256D Radiant algorithms for RDNA2 GPUs. It seems this one's making its rounds because multiple miners have been adding basically AMD upgrade in the Radiant power there. Performance increase on Lyra 2v2 web chain algorithms for GPUs, and ProgPal algorithm bug fixes. Kapow, Firo Proof of Work, Epic, Cero, Veil, Veriblock, and Xano. They added parameters for force MSR tweaks, which forces usage of MSR tweaks for CPU mined algorithms. And they added support for graphics or GFX 1036, which I don't know what this is actually. I'll probably have to figure that out. And they fixed detection of RX 550 GPUs on newer AMD drivers. It says MSR tweaking was enabled by default for every algorithm on previous miner versions if miner had admin and root privileges. Not every CPU mineable algorithm benefits from this. So from this version, it will be automatically enabled only to algorithms that are known to benefit from it. If one wants to force enable MSR tweaking, it can be done with the force MSR tweaks parameter, which you can add there. Let's get into mining profitability for the day as well. And I do have to run down to the farm because my farm is still powered off, and I do think that they shut down my farm today. I think I have to call the I have to call the power company because I didn't fully pay the bill, which is like, hold on, I don't know. Oh, it's tough times over here, my guys. It's tough times up in her. All right. Let's calculate this out and get you into mining profitability or lack thereof on the RTX 3090 with corrected ZIL hash, Kapow, and ProgPal and Firo Proof of Work hash rates. And as well as at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, everything is still unprofitable, with Rio being the least unprofitable at losing 15 cents a day. Pretty much it goes down the whole line, right? Ergo, we're losing 27 cents a day. Grin, you're losing 28 cents a day. Flux, you're losing 32 cents a day. Scrolling down from there, Kitty Coin, you're losing 37 cents a day. And Ethereum Classic, you're losing 46 cents a day. So womp womp, it is what it is. And then if we take a look at coin market cap, no, not coin market cap yet. That's going to be at the end. Look at mining pool stats and hash rates. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. It's down 1.78% over the past 7 days, but it is still sitting at 272 exahash a second. A lot of that bump up in hash rate did appear to be Marathon Digital, like we talked about earlier in today's show. It does appear that Marathon Digital is going to be the probably, like, if you wanted to look at who's going to be the most successful in the next bull run, Marathon Digital as a miner is that kind of winner from my perspective, right? It just is looking like that to be the case. Taking a look at Ethereum Classic, it's down 4% over the past 7 days and sitting at 160 terahash a second. It's been sitting at that for quite some time, basically since the merge. I don't really expect anything to actually change on that. I think a majority of that is ASICs, specifically the ETH hash ASICs. Now, there could be some shifts that end up eventually happening on Ethereum Proof of Work and Ethereum Fair. Ethereum Proof of Work being the Proof of Work fork of Ethereum that is from Chandler Go. It's currently at 34 terahash a second, and it's down 13% over the past 7 days. And then Ethereum Fair, which is the Ethereum Proof of Work fork from Justin Sun, is down 16% over the past 7 days and sitting at 5.19 terahash a second. If we take a look at Zilliqa, it's at 21 terahash a second, and it had a recent dip in difficulty. Not necessarily a bad idea to be dual mining Easel or on like easel.me with like an ETH hash coin or Ethereum Classic. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Flux. Flux is down 0.65%, and it recently had a huge difficulty spike, and it is at 8.84 mega solutions a second. It's been sitting at that for a while. I think this difficulty spike was back in, September. So that was right. It had a huge difficulty spike right after the merge, as expected. Most things did. The interesting thing is that Flux did a really good job at accepting essentially the hash rate that it was going to accept and then staying right there, right? It got about 8 to 9 or 7 to 9 mega solutions a second, and it's been sitting at there at the same difficulty for the remaining time. It's actually pretty impressive as far as like stable networks post merge for GPUs. Flux is kind of at the top of the game there. And by stable, I mean not any crazy like difficulty spikes, not a huge amount of hash rate coming off or coming on and then dropping off. Whereas like pretty much everything else had a huge amount of hash rate come on and drop off, and was a lot less stable in general. So I think that's important to note. As opposed to that, of course, we have Ergo, which did do exactly what we're talking about. Huge spikes up, huge difficulty adjustment problems right after the merge. And then they fixed that with EIP 37. It's currently sitting at 41.94 terahash a second. It's down 11% over the past 7 days. Now, since we talked about Caspa, we'll take a look at Caspa. It's up 50% over the past 7 days. And then if we took a look at the amount of hash rate, it's at 119 terahash a second from the pools, but 178 terahash a second on the network. Now, what that does mean is essentially 30% of the hash rate is unknown. So if you look at, for example, a majority of the hash rate being on Woolly Pool, where it's at 77% of known hash rate, right? So that's 77% of the 120. So you still essentially have 50 terahash unaccounted there that you can add in there, which helps alleviate the fears of any sort of 51% attacks. That being said, of course, that is due to primarily the fact that solo mining, because of GhostDAG, which we talked about earlier, is still a little bit better than solo mining if you were trying to compete with a large network on a different coin, which is why I think there's so much solo mining going on Caspa, because it is still extremely viable even with the recent upticks in hash rate. So that's kind of everything behind there, but it did have a little bit of a recent uptick in difficulty and this really recent uptick in hash rate, right? We went from 112 to 119, and then I'd have to check and see what we were at on the whole deal there yesterday as well. So that's going to cover that. ASIC mining profitability. Let's go ahead and pop in. We have the Antminer L7 at $30 a day on Doge by itself. Doge, just a pumping, my friends. It's pamping up. You know, Musk has really done a fantastic job at just living and pumping Dogecoin. He just lives, Dogecoin pumps. Elon Musk lives, Dogecoin pumps. It is just, look, every time he sits down to take a shit and post a tweet, we see a pump in Dogecoin. You know, the L3 pluses are becoming profitable again, especially if you underclock them. The L3 pluses are, the Gold Shell X5s are profitable. It's crazy, and they're profitable at like pretty low power consumptions. I think the Antminer L7 is probably that one ASIC that everybody is kicking themselves on not moving over to. You know, to a certain extent. It's pretty hilarious at the end of the day. The Jasminer X4 is in second place, but it's just like, it's nowhere close, right? On ZIL for Ethereum Classic, it's $5.60 a day. And obviously that's going to be the Zilliqa Ethereum Classic multi-mode. It's just not even close to the Antminer L7, right? You got the HS3 in third place doing essentially $6.12 a day on Handshake, which is not that bad. And you have the iPolo V1 coming in fourth place doing $3.19 on ETP. And then kind of out of nowhere, an older miner, the Antminer Z15, is doing $4.26 a day on Zcash. And we did notice here just recently an uptick in privacy coins that I think you should pay attention to. Pirate Chain being one of them, right? Which we saw earlier. And also the interesting part about Pirate Chain was, just like we talked about on the Komodo, it's getting some support, right? Pirate Chain here is going to be is going to be swappable, the atomic swaps within the atomic DEX, which is going to add a lot of, a pretty significant liquidity option for Pirate Chain, which it does need, being a privacy coin. Having a privacy coin that's integrated into atomic DEX, which is, a decentralized exchange, that's a big deal, because most of the time with a lot of privacy coins, you don't have a lot of liquidity options. So for miners, it can be a little bit more difficult. I think that paying attention to that is going to be, paramount. You do have options like Zcash is obviously one that has privacy features, but has quite a bit of adoption from an exchange perspective. I think that the problem is obviously with, and this is the reason why Pirate Chain and Atomic DEX swaps, which you guys have known, I haven't talked a ton about Pirate Chain in the past because, it is basically just a fork of Komodo. That being said, I do see the value there now. My eyes have opened because of the capability of it being on a decentralized exchange, which for a privacy coin, I think is paramount. And the reason for that is that privacy coins will be regulated to hell. However, like from a mining perspective, and because of the current, let's say the current global landscape of things, having a privacy coin is going to be something that people are interested in. And then from a mining perspective, having a way to mine that privacy coin, but also liquidate that privacy coin in a decentralized manner is going to be important too. So am I a little bullish on the Pirate Chain and atomic swaps? Yes, I definitely am. I think that's going to be important to pay attention to. And we are seeing on the GPU side a trend of the privacy coin Ryo, right? Which is the least unprofitable coin right now. And then on the ASIC side, we're starting to see Zcash pump back up as well. So you're basically, what we're seeing is obviously like craziness, right? We're seeing essentially Dogecoin, meme coins, and privacy coins. We are moving into the digital financial transformation so rapidly that things are just starting to look all dystopian and nutty, and you should pay attention. It's pretty fun to watch. I think it's amazing. Now, the Kadena miner's not doing that good, not doing great. KD6 at $4.78 a day. And then the iPolo G1 is doing $1.38 a day on Grin. Grin does appear to have taken a pretty big hit here recently. Scrolling down from there, as we always check the S19 Pro, it's still under $1 a day on Bitcoin. And this is just, at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. This is going to be a problem, but we're just going to have to sit back and wait and watch it happen. Even on Digibyte, only 10 cents a day. And on BSV, it's at 24 cents a day. Now, I do keep a list of proof of work mineable coins over here, but they are not working right now. So we got to pay attention to it. But look at this pump up. Let's take a look at Dogecoin here over the past 7 days. Obviously, it's holding pretty steady. It had that big pump up on the 29th, thanks to the Muscaroonie, and it's maintaining over, 10 cents per in a bear market. Dogecoin to $1 is not necessarily outside of the realm of possibilities. I think the all-time high back in 2021 was like 65 cents. But prior to that, it was a third of a penny. And if we are going to see basically Dogecoin spike back up, it's performing this well, it's crazy, man. I just don't even understand how it's performing this well in a bear market. But like I said, you got Bitcoin for the reserve currency. You got Dogecoin for the transactional currency. It just makes sense, even though it doesn't make sense, right? And it is closer to, the value of $1 than I think a lot of people would expect with its current inflation path forward, right? So let's get into questions and answers for the day. Remember, super chats are never required, always appreciated. First to be answered because they're the easiest to read. Secondary to that, if you can tag at Blind Run, and that will highlight the message orange, and I'll be able to read it from there. So we did have earlier a bunch of people hopping in with talking with Shade, and as far as the dev Dev availability for Caspa. Don't worry, we got the email chain. I'm going to get you guys like wrapped back in. I think today I'm a little busy because we're going to be doing some more testing, of course, on the A750 after this. And I do got to run to the farm and see if my power is turned off or if I just need to reset the router. So I'm going to head out there here in just a second as well. Retro Mike says, at Simatech, GFX 136 is the APU on the new Ryzen Zen 4 CPUs. Okay, perfect. So we can test that because I do have a 7950. I do have support on that bench. So if you guys want me to test that, we can test the APU as well. Moria Devil says 4090 is profitable. Everything is profitable depending on the price of power. The 4090 is performing really, really well in things like Radiant and Caspa. Gandalf Gray says, at Simatech, Litecoin was pumping yesterday too. I think that Litecoin is getting a proxy pump through Dogecoin because of merge mining, oddly enough. Javed says, at Simatech, what do you think about the new ET coin, hash coin pink? I think it's not extremely, it's not profitable. We mined some. I forgot how much we mined. Well, I have it here somewhere. We mined like 7 of it. I don't know. It didn't seem worth it. I think proof of meme coins, we mined like 352. Minoleum, we mined like 10K. I mean, we've been spec mining a lot of them. Hugo Down coming in with a huge $100 super chat. Thank you, good sir. Says, love the channel, locals, and Twitch. The information provided is invaluable and appreciated. Keep up the great work. That means a lot, man. Thank you so much. That pretty much is more than we would get from all the ad revenue for the day on YouTube. So I appreciate it. Keeping the dream alive, good sir, which is what I always say. So thank you so much for that. Dynamite Mining says, just threw some L3s back on. Yeah, and I got to run out to the farm and see. I think my power is shut off. I owe like $6,000 on the power bill, and I think they turned me off. So I didn't get a call from them, though, so I don't understand why. I had a payment plan worked out with them because we turned off all the rigs, and then we had like, I don't know, a balance, and then I don't know. It is what it is. Nicole says, that's Simatech, how can you remain anonymous when you have Bitcoin? Should you change it to Monero? Yeah, Bitcoin is not going to be anonymous. You're going to want to utilize an anonymous coin. There's plenty of different anonymous coins, with Monero kind of being the big daddy. There's debate over which ones are the best, and they all offer different options. I think for mining, Pirate Chain's making a lot of sense, like we talked about, because you do have a decentralized exchange to swap that on out if you need to swap it out for, essentially something else. As far as outside of that, Monero is one, Zcash is one, Rio is one. The list goes on. They all have different advantages and disadvantages, with, really Zcash and Monero having the liquidity needed for large incomes, right? So if you're looking at it from that perspective, you really only have a couple options. But I mean, all around, that's pretty much everything I can talk about off the top of my head right now. Shio Count says, that Simatech, hey man, how are you holding up? I'm holding up good. I got an interview, or got my second interview to become for a Linux sysadmin job on Friday that I'm looking forward to. I have another interview tomorrow morning. It'll be a first interview for a blockchain company. And then I have a couple guys that are a couple options. We'll see how everything goes on. And now that I'm off of the antibiotics, life's been a lot better. I'm not like vomiting and all that, so we're good there. Leonardo says, that's Simatech, what is Minoleum? Minoleum is an ET hash fork, and you should check it out on, you can check it out on locals. Talon says, that's Simatech, apparently MoneyGram is accepting Litecoin. That's the reason behind the pump. Thanks for letting me know, Talon. That's a pretty big one. MoneyGram accepting Litecoin is pretty big. Let me go ahead and pull that up. We'll pull it up for the Twitch stream. Yeah. So we got about 8 minutes left for questions and answers. If you got any more. I really do want to call my power company or drive out there to the farm. Serpent Tech in the chat. Make sure you guys go follow Serpent Tech. You're a mod. Post your channel link over there. And subscribe to him on YouTube. Elsie says, is Linux sysadmin downright your ballpark, or would you have some new skills for it? It's typically like, yeah, it would be like a step below what my last position was. As far as from a skill perspective. Keeney says, ask Simon Tech, what's your take on a small proof of work coins like ETH1? I think you mean all of the Ethereum proof of work coins? Like, that's a very broad question. Like, when we talk about, my preferred is finding spec mineable coins that are not listed on any exchange right now. Outside of that, if I look at like coins that are listed, I'm usually looking for something that's not forked. So like ETH1 is just a fork of ETH hash. I'm not that interested, right? I'm looking for grassroots, ground up built things, and so if it's an ETH fork, I mine them if they're not listed, just in case one pops off, right? I checked for an outage of the internet and it just says that, yeah, that I got to drive out there real quick before we start the Twitch stream, which I don't even know if I have enough time for a Twitch stream today. I just realized we might have to do the Twitch stream and testing tomorrow. Well, I made a payment online. Either way, it seems like I gotta either call the internet company or call. I gotta call one or the other. Anyways, we'll figure it out. Definitely doesn't say that it's offline right now. All right, so Nicole says, ask Simon Tech, a follow-up question with staying anonymous. Can you be tracked if you changed the Bitcoin, let's say $1,000 worth to Monero? Then when you want to cash out and change the Monero, you use USDT or US. Once it goes into Monero, you're good. But like people will see you moving it from Bitcoin to Monero, right? Like, okay. So and this is all theory and not financial advice, and do not use it for criminal activity, etc. The best way to, if you wanted to have completely untraceable currency, okay, what you would want to do is use cash to purchase Monero miners well, okay, there's a couple ways, not Monero miners, but Zcash miners, for example, and then put those up, mine the Zcash and never cash it out, right? Then you're completely anonymous. Another way you could do this, which is the way that is the illegal way, is create botnets to mine Monero, which is what a majority of people are doing, right? Like literally you're stealing hash power. You're stealing, okay? But if you want to know what people are doing, they're literally stealing. What they're doing is they're crypto jacking server farms and then setting them to mine Monero. That's a majority of what Monero hash rate is. Oh, Shio says, that's time to take why I stopped mining Caspa. Well, I stopped mining everything because I don't have enough money. I'm trying to, my farm shut off. So what do you mean? MC says, that's time to take opinions on Evermore. It seems like a fork of Ravencoin. I don't have a really good opinion on it. I'm still working on it. Ken says, that's time to take, which Rio pool did you run and what is the backstory of Rio? So I ran, it was just rio.sonofattack.com. And I think it's been a while. It might have actually been riopool.com or something. It's been a while. Have to go look at the video. I think I have a video on it. Anyways, it was Sumo Coin at first, and then essentially it got hard forked and Fire Ice UK forked it from them, and it's a long story. Probably like need a whole video on it alone. And he forked it into Rio and took over the chain. All right, boys, that's going to wrap it up over here for the YouTubes. I'm going to run out to the farm, and then we'll be over on Twitch later today, hopefully testing the hash rates. I do have to run out and pick kiddos up and do all that. I don't know if I have enough time. I also have to go do some blood tests. So I got to go to the doctor. I'm going to figure out what I can do, and I won't be in town for the evening. So I really do want to test the hash rates on the A750, but I don't know if I can. We'll have to figure it out. Just hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell down below to be notified. And then make sure you're following over on twitch.tv. We stream every day on Twitch, usually directly after this stream. It's just today is a little bit hectic for me. So I got to go figure out what's going on with that one. But let me go figure out what's going on at the farm. I'll let you guys know, and I'll see you next Tuesday.